What's up, guys? Welcome to the Stats Free Sports channel. Let's get right into it. Here to bring you a video on why I believe Brian Branch is the most underrated player in this year's NFL draft class. But before we start with the video, one more thing, guys. Check out two things in my description box down below. One being my social media links. Follow me everywhere: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and also Amazon affiliate links. I got some products down below. Four items, all sports related, all pretty cheap, not gonna break your wallet at all. Check those things out as well. And let's get into it, guys. Brian Branch. This is my final pre-draft video. The draft starts tomorrow, and I couldn't end off without talking about my favorite defensive player in this draft class, Brian Branch. Brian Branch is the most underrated player in this draft class for one reason, and because he's an elite player and you might can get him probably in the top of the second, bottom of the first. His range is kind of weird to me, and I do say elite. I didn't stutter there. I know I talk fast. I know why I stutter sometimes, but I didn't say elite. However you have your power ranking set up, Bryce Young, Stroud, Will Anderson, you have about seven guys, 5 to 7 guys who could be elite. I think Branch is one of those guys, in my personal opinion. No question about it. From day one, I think Branch will be a force on the defense side of the ball. And it depends on how you see him. I have him as a slot cornerback, part-time safety, mainly a slot cornerback, especially in today's current NFL schemes. You see a lot more slot cornerbacks on the field at all times. The way the offensive formation goes, defense got to counteract with the slot guys. And I think that's what he makes his bread and butter at. He's listed as a safety, but he's so versatile. He can get you strong, he can get you free. But I think that his bread and butter, where he'll be more efficient, the most effective, and also make the most money, will be the slot cornerback spot. And that's kind of why he falls so low in the draft. As I said, some mock drafts I've seen him go high second, which makes sense to me. But also I think he will be snatched up. My personal range for him is pick 13. Used to be the Jets. As of yesterday, it went to the Packers. I still think the Packers could take him. I don't think they will, but there's definitely a possibility there to move on from Darnell Savage and bring in a guy like him. But I think his range is from 13 all the way down to the end of first. The Kansas City Chiefs, because you never know. So 13 to 31 is a wide range for an elite player, but just because he's a slot guy, that's the main reason why. Unlike Jalen Carter, unlike Bijan Robinson, or Stroud, or Bryce Young, or Will Anderson, you know where they're going to play at. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. A guy like Brian Branch, you don't know. At any given formation, he'll give you free, he'll give you strong, he'll give you slot. So that's the reason why as well. So, he kind of get lost in the sauce a little bit. You're not really a safety full time, you're not really a corner full time. But don't let that fool you. He is one of the most elite players in his class. As I said, I have about 5 players ranked on my personal power rankings board. I never released it for this year's class. I did last year, but he's one of my top 5 guys. And my lists are always different. From most other people's. I tend to do my own thing. I look at how I see things. I don't deviate. I look at if something changes, that means I see something. I don't go off someone else's list or someone else's thoughts. So, my list is always a little different, a little weird, but I stick to what I like, and I think Brian Branch, is just top notch. From day one, he reminds me of a guy like Bijan Robinson as far as from day one, those two guys I could definitely see from this class being Pro Bowlers from the start, from the get go, from year one. Albeit it depends on scheme, team fit, how the coaches use them, all that good stuff. But if Bijan Robinson and Brian Branch are Pro Bowlers from year one, I wouldn't be surprised. Those two guys are high impact players. Those two guys both have a lack of weaknesses. The only thing about Bijan really is he's been injured in the past, but he's came back. I don't think he had a season long injury, but little nicks and knacks here and there kept him out a game or two here, moments here and there. But outside of that, Bijan's been relatively healthy. Branch, he's a little smaller. He's not as fast as you would like. He ran a 4.5, I think a 4.56, which isn't slow, but it's not fast. It's not overly fast either. Especially in today's in NFL, people love speed. So that's the main thing. People tend to harp on when you go to a guy like Branches. Oh, he's not fast. 4.5. That's good. 4.5 is definitely good. It's not slow. Don't let all the speedsters and all the crazy guys fool you. 4.5 is not slow at all. So, but yeah, he's plays bigger than what he actually is. He's listed as 6 foot. I've seen people say 5'11", 190 pounds. Nice size hands at 9.5. And as I said, man, he's really like low on weaknesses. I have about three things for him, and they're all not, they're not bad at all. One thing, he's occasionally outflanked as a run defender from the slot. So when he plays slot, he can get a little leverage on him, and he can get a little backed up in all the traffic in certain situations. One more thing is he becomes dragged down as a tackler. He comes in too high, so he's a big hitter. And also with him being 5'11", a smaller safety, he kind of headhunts sometimes in certain situations where if he doesn't hit it, if he doesn't knock him down, he'll be a drag down tackler in certain situations where he could definitely avoid that by just going for the waist. But he's a big hitter. Everybody always say Witherspoon is a big hitter, in which he is. But I've seen Branch do a lot of big hits too, from the safety and from the slot spot. So I think he's one of the bigger hitters as well. And also one more thing, he could use a tighter press on certain down and distances. 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. Depending on the down and distance, go ahead and get up there and press. And he can press, but at some moments, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, he'll give you a little space, which that space, even in good coverage, can cause for a easy slant, an easy drag route or something to get open and get the first down in a big moment. So when those, short downs happen, go ahead and press up on the guy. Go ahead and get up in them to make it a little harder. Because even in good coverage, stuff still can be caught. We see all the time. Big catches, strong hands. So. But all in all, man, the weaknesses, which I named three, uh, fall way in comparison to what he does. High football IQ guy. All his strengths are just like it's a whole list I have written down. I'll give you a few of them. Fast, fluid, and very strong for his size. As I said, 5'11" or 6 foot at 190. He plays a little bit bigger. He plays like he's about 6'2", and he's fluid, he's fast, he's strong, big hitter. Also, one more thing, he reads receivers' eyes and knows when to turn his head downfield. And he knows when to turn back for the ball, when to turn downfield and watch the receiver. He just got a good instinctive uh, trait about him. That everyone doesn't have, and even you can't teach that. Even you can train all day, but you can't always teach your instincts and when to just do certain things. And he's just a ball. He's just a natural cover corner. And a guy like him, man, from day one, I don't see him, being that. I don't see him being having the hard switch from college to NFL. Obviously some people have the speed difference or the physicality difference from college to pros. But outside those normal, things that you get over with and you get accustomed to with time, I don't see him really struggling with too many things. I really don't. He's just phenomenal. I see him day one being a good player, man, and it just depends on how everything works out, where he goes. The best spot for him, to me, honestly, just looking at the draft board, the best spot for him, honestly, probably the Jaguars. That's where he's been mocked the most at, pick 24. If not the Jags, the Bengals make sense. If not the Bengals or Jags, 30 to the Eagles. The Eagles could trade up and get him. He makes sense. They lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They signed the two I can't even talk. They signed the two corners, Bradbury and Slade, to nice long term, nice multi-year deals. I think they could bring in a young guy like him to cover that slot and be a safety as well. Like I said, be a good replacement for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. The Lions make sense. They have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson on a 1-year deal. They have a bunch of slot guys though, so that's kind of little iffy spot. The Bucks make sense. The Patriots make sense. The Jets make sense. Commanders make sense. So there are some good teams that need him. The Bills make sense. I've been calling for them to add a young corner, a young good corner for the last couple of years, which they did last year. They did bring in Elam, so but yeah, he's due for a lot of teams. Just depends on which one wants to grab him, you know, and it just depends on how the top 10 shakes out. If the Eagles can grab a pass rusher or Bijan Robinson at pick 10, they don't need receiver, don't really need linemen. I think getting a guy like Brian Branch could be a nice accessory to have, a nice luxury pick to have when you have 2 first-round picks. So no, the Lions, the Seahawks, definitely could do something there and add him there. So we'll see where everything goes, how everything shakes out. But I'm excited for him, man. I think, as I said, one of the top 5 guys on my power ranking list. Um, I think from day one he'll be a stud. He'll be at least solid to where, hey, I'm not worried about him. Let's focus on everybody else or something else. I wouldn't be concerned if I'm a coach. If I'm drafting Brian Branch, I think he's gonna be top shelf from day one. But that's it for the video, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys next time.